From the roaring engines to the smell of burning rubber, Formula One has a rich history filled with legendary American drivers who push the limits of speed and bravery. So, get ready to meet the most notable American speed demons who took on the best of the best. Richie Ginter. Though often overshadowed by the likes of Phil Hill and Dan Gurney during the 1960s, Ginter carved out a highly impressive career as a Grand Prix driver. Hailing from California, he wasted no time in making his mark. Impressively, in only his third F1 outing at Monza in 1960, he notched his debut podium finish. The following year kicked off with a bang as well, as he fiercely pursued Stirling Moss, crossing the Monaco finish line right on the British legend's tail. Ginter exhibited a remarkable consistency that set him apart. This trait shone particularly bright in the 1963 season. Driving for BRM, he secured top 5 finishes in every race he completed. Such a remarkable performance earned him a shared second-place spot in the championship, tied with Graham Hill. However, he trailed the champion Jim Clark by a margin of 25 points. Despite his frequent presence in the top tier of finishers, his first victory didn't materialize until the 1965 Mexican Grand Prix. It's worth noting that this win also marked Honda's debut triumph in Formula One. This victory stood as the pinnacle of his achievement, having graced the podium a total of 14 times. Sadly, Ginter chose to step away from racing in 1967, marking the end of a career that brimmed with accomplishment. Harry Schell. Schell might not have been a standout F1 star, but he was a respected contender known for his consistent performance. While his wins in F1 were mainly in non-championship events, he managed to secure a second-place finish in the 1958 Dutch Grand Prix and even led in races that contributed to championship points. Regrettably, his life was cut short during a practice session for the International Trophy at Silverstone. A collision with a low wall sent his Cooper T51 airborne, marking a sorrowful conclusion to a career that deserves recognition. Peter Revson. Characterized by his consistent performance rather than sheer speed, Revson left a positive impression on the Formula One scene during the early 1970s. Born in New York, he initially participated in a handful of races back in 1964, steering a Lotus. However, his return to the sport only took place during the final race of the 1971 season at Watkins Glen. It was during this time that he caught the attention of McLaren. The turning point arrived in the second race of the 1972 season, held in South Africa, when Revson secured his first podium finish. As the season unfolded, he added 3 more podiums to his name, culminating in a total of 9 Grand Prix starts. His commendable consistency throughout these races culminated in a well-deserved 5th place position in the championship standings. The subsequent year, 1973, saw Revson successfully defend his 5th place ranking. In an impressive display of skill, he held off challenges from competitors like Ronnie Peterson. Revson's triumph at Silverstone marked a significant milestone as he became the 50th winner of a World Championship Grand Prix. He further showcased his prowess by securing another victory under challenging wet conditions in Canada just before the end of the season. The transition to the Shadow team for the 1974 season marked a new chapter for Revson. Unfortunately, this period was marred by challenges. Retirement from the opening 2 races was followed by a tragic turn of events. Revson lost his life during testing prior to the South African Grand Prix. Despite this untimely end, Revson's legacy includes an impressive record of 8 podium finishes and a total of 61 career points in Formula One. Mark Donohue. In a unique collaboration that saw Mark Donohue driving a McLaren adorned in a Penske livery. His Formula One debut took place amidst the rain-soaked setting of the 1971 Canadian Grand Prix. While he managed to secure a commendable 3rd place finish, this performance hardly foreshadowed his future endeavours. Unfortunately, his promising start was followed by a hiccup. He couldn't even start the subsequent race at Watkins Glen. The New Jersey native then redirected his focus towards his home country and achieved a remarkable victory in the prestigious 1972 Indy 500. Donohue did make a return to Formula One for the final 2 rounds of the 1973 season. However, his success at Mosport Park was not mirrored in this endeavour, and once again he faced challenges on his home turf. This time he was forced to retire after completing just 27 laps. Undeterred, Donohue embarked on a full-fledged F1 campaign the following year. The early stages of his journey were marked by struggles to match the pace of his competitors. Yet, a glimmer of promise emerged with fifth-place finishes in both Sweden and Britain, hinting at a gradual improvement in form as the season progressed. Unfortunately, he also lost his life mid-season the following year during practice. Jim Rathman. Rathman's role in Formula One diverged from the conventional path. His involvement was primarily tied to his participation in the Indianapolis 500 back when the event was considered part of the F1 Championship. This Californian driver carved a niche as a specialist at the iconic Brickyard, amassing a noteworthy record of 6 top 10 finishes in his 10 appearances at this renowned race. Across the years, Rathman clinched 3 second-place finishes in the 1952, 57 and 59 events. However, it was his triumphant victory in the 1960 edition that left an indelible mark. This win remarkably placed him at 8th in the F1 Drivers' Championship standings, even though he didn't partake in any other Grand Prix that season. An intriguing footnote in Rathman's career is that he holds the distinction of being the victor of the final Indy 500 event that retained its classification as an F1 World Championship race. Phil Hill. Hill proudly earned the distinction of becoming America's inaugural world champion in Formula One, notching up 3 victorious races over a career spanning 8 seasons. The introverted sensation, hailing from Miami, marked the conclusion of his maiden season with back-to-back podium finishes in Italy and Morocco. Yet his initial taste of victory continued to elude him until the penultimate race of the 1960 season, precisely at Monza. This set the stage for a remarkable 1961 campaign. Throughout the season, Hill maintained an impressive consistency, securing top 3 finishes in almost every race he participated in. This extraordinary performance led him to clinch both the coveted driver's crown and Ferrari's inaugural constructors' title. Unfortunately, this triumph was juxtaposed with sorrow due to the tragic demise of Hill's teammate Wolfgang von Trips at Monza on the same day he secured the championship. The following year, 1962, witnessed Hill's strong start with 3 consecutive top 3 finishes. However, his title defense faltered thereafter, and a less than stellar move to ATS marked a downturn in his F1 trajectory. Despite this setback, Hill's career trajectory took a more favourable turn with successes at events like Le Mans and Sebring. Although Phil Hill stands tall as the sole US-born title holder in Formula One history, it's noteworthy that he shares the record for the lowest number of career victories among the world champions with Britain's Mike Hawthorn. Bill Vukovich. Much like Rathman, Vukovic's involvement in Formula One was solely through his participation in the Indy 500 races. His remarkable achievements at the Brickyard, securing victories in 1953 and 1954 out of the 5 times he raced between 1950 and 1955, established the Californian of Yugoslavian descent as one of the most outstanding drivers in terms of win rates within the sport's history. Despite his undeniable prowess, it's important to note that Vukovic's F1 ventures were limited to just 5 starts. Tragically, his life was cut short by a fatal crash while leading the 1955 Indy 500. Dan Gurney. Gurney's journey in Formula One never led him to claim the ultimate title of world champion. His closest attempts were 4th place finishes in 1961 and 65. Yet, he's often mentioned in the same breath as racing greats like Stirling Moss and Gilles Villeneuve, those exceptional drivers who, despite their brilliance, never managed to secure the coveted crown. Though he lacked a championship title, Gurney's immense talent shines through a memorable tale from 1968. During the funeral of the renowned driver Jim Clark, Gurney received an unexpected acknowledgement. Clark's father approached him and revealed that Dan Gurney was the sole competitor whom his son, a 2-time champion, held genuine apprehension towards. Gurney's debut for Ferrari immediately placed him on the podium, a remarkable achievement. Throughout his career, he secured victories for Porsche, Brabham, and notably his own car, a feat he accomplished in the 1967 Belgian Grand Prix at Spa. This victory marked the pinnacle of his Formula One accomplishment, accounting for one of his 4 total wins in the series. Beyond Formula One, Gurney's triumphs extended into diverse motorsport domains. He triumphed in NASCAR events, triumphed at the prestigious Le Mans 24 Hours race, and was a familiar contender in the iconic Indianapolis 500. Gurney wasn't just a racer, he was a trailblazer. Regarded as a pioneer, Gurney holds credit for innovations that left an indelible mark on racing. He's acknowledged as the originator of the Gurney flap, an aerodynamic device that significantly impacted car performance. Furthermore, he initiated the tradition of champagne celebrations on the podium, a practice now synonymous with victory in motorsport. Gurney's forward-thinking spirit also showed in his choice to don a full-face helmet, a pioneering move that debuted at the 1968 German Grand Prix. Though the title of world champion eluded him, Dan Gurney's legacy extends far beyond championships, embodying innovation, sportsmanship, and an enduring impact on the world of racing. Mastin Gregory. Gregory's privileged upbringing might lead one to dismiss him as a wealthy enthusiast dabbling in car racing as a mere pastime. However, this notion belies the true essence of the Kansas-born driver, who was marked by the substantial talent that he demonstrated from the get-go. Gregory's debut race at the prestigious Monaco track defied any notion of casual participation. Piloting a Maserati, he clinched a remarkable third-place finish. His prowess continued with commendable 4th-place standings at Pescara and Monza, driving him to a commendable 6th position in the 1957 championship. This initial year proved to be his standout moment. Although 1959 saw Gregory secure 2 more podium finishes, his reputation was intertwined with a propensity for crashing, an aspect that hindered his ability to leave an enduring imprint in Formula One. Yet a closer look at his performance in sports car racing provides a glimpse of the remarkable potential he possessed. In 1965, Gregory teamed up with fellow driver Jochen Rindt and compatriot Ed Hughes, and together they achieved a milestone. Sharing the cockpit of a Ferrari, they triumphed at the iconic Le Mans 24 Hours, an accomplishment that cements Gregory's place as a formidable racer. Eddie Cheever. Cheever holds the distinction of having the highest number of Formula One appearances among American drivers, an impressive 132 starts. Regrettably, his time on the F1 circuit, spanning from 1978 to 1989, didn't yield significant success. Despite his 11-season tenure, the Arizona native secured just 9 podium finishes and a total of 70 career points. His best performances included second-place finishes in Detroit in 1982 and Canada in 1983. Now, the year 1983 presents a mixed narrative for Cheever, depending on one's perspective. The season could be viewed as both his zenith and nadir in F1. Competing for the official Renault team, he achieved a personal best by clinching 7th place in the standings. He stood on the podium 4 times, an accomplishment to be celebrated. However, standing in the shadow of Alain Prost's remarkable performance, Cheever's achievements might seem modest. Prost narrowly missed the championship by just 2 points, having secured more race wins than anyone else that year. A tale of 2 diverging trajectories unfolded thereafter. While Prost went on to etch his name in history alongside McLaren from 1984 onwards, Cheever's path led him away from competitive cars. This shift resulted in just 2 more podium finishes for him. Mario Andretti. The Italian-born driver undoubtedly holds the record for the most successful American driver in Formula One history. He managed to snag 12 Grand Prix wins along with a World Championship title. Andretti's entry into the F1 scene was like a burst of energy. He showed up and immediately secured pole position for Lotus in his very first Grand Prix at Watkins Glen. However, his start in the race didn't exactly reflect his potential. This pretty much summed up the initial phase of his career. He did show some moments of promise, like his first win for Ferrari in South Africa back in 1971. But honestly, he wasn't achieving all that much success. Everything took a U-turn when he made a comeback to Lotus in 1976. Andretti got back to his winning groove in the final race in Japan, and then he went on to claim 4 more victories, which led him to a respectable 3rd place in the championship the next year. Then, in 1978, he really kicked it up a notch. He clinched the championship title with a whopping 6 wins under his belt. However, his victory was a bit bittersweet due to the unfortunate passing of his rival and teammate, Ronnie Peterson. Following that, Andretti's F1 career hit a dry spell again, and he couldn't manage to grab another win. But don't think for a second that his racing career faded away. He soared to remarkable heights in American single-seater racing, endurance events, and even NASCAR. At 83 years old, Mario Andretti isn't just a name in F1 history, he's practically a legend in the world of motorsport overall. He defines what it means to be a true racer. So, what other US driver do you think deserves a spot on this list? Let us know in the comments section below.